How's it going, everybody? Christian King coming at you again with another Discord.js tutorial. This time I'm going to teach you how to create a way for the player or the users when they enter your server to grant themselves their own roles. So whether that be roles geared more towards gaming, whether that be roles geared more towards just anything server related that you feel comfortable allowing the users to grant themselves. So we don't need to add anything in our requirements, but the one thing we do need to add, I'm going to put this at the top just because this is something we want to start executing towards the very beginning of the bots functionality. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a way for the users to come in, and what we want to first do is we want to get our role permissions. So I'm just going to open up Discord real quick. Don't switch. So we first want to grab a message. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to send in the basics. I'm going to create a channel, get your roles. We're going to create that channel. We want everyone to be able to use it, and I want this underneath the welcome and rules to follow. So we're going to say get your roles. We're going to say hello, not hell. Hello everyone. Please use this message to get your roles. Nothing will happen yet. I'm just going to send out in general. And hashtag get your roles, because we don't want anyone to do anything yet. So, hola papi. Also, one thing we should say, we want to limit the permissions. So anyone with the designers, we want them to be able to read, but we don't want them to send messages. So we'll turn that off. And one other thing, anyone else can do it, but I'm gonna go ahead. I'll just leave that there for now. But that's fine. That's fine. So what we want to do is we want to actually, in the more, copy this ID because this is something we're going to need. So when I come back into our Visual Studio, so remember, we grabbed our message ID and we want the users to be able to detect, or we want the Visual Studio to be able to detect a cached message. So this will be the cached message handle. And what we want to do, just like what we did here for our client.on, we want to do client.on instead of message. Actually, it's going to be much more like this one, but since it's not once and we want this to be running all the time, and when the bot is online, we'll say when the bot is ready, we're going to want to be able to give it a reaction and a user. And this is just for our own intents and purposes. We're not actually going to be using these. What happened there? Interesting. Excuse me. Sir, why are you giving me this? Is it because I put a period there? There we go. My bad. Anyway, so we're not actually going to be using the reaction and user. This is just for us to make sure that the bot is actually getting the reaction and the user. So we're going to go in here, client.channels.cache.get, and this is where we want to get the message channel. So above this, or so for here, we're going to say channel ID dot messages dot fetch, because we're going to fetch that message. We're going to go message ID dot then, oops, not inside of there. And if this, then what we want to do is we want the users to be able to grab their, I don't know why it's not putting two anymore, it's only just putting the single. This is where we want them to grab their messages, and somewhere along the lines I forgot to open close. So for some reason it's not liking that and we need another one. Anyway, So now that we have this set up, we want to actually be able to call our channel ID and our message ID. So we're going to say let channel ID equal, and then this is where we're going to put our ID for the, or that's actually the message. So this is where we're going to allow the bot to read the message ID. We're going to close that off, and then we're also going to go above that and say let channel ID equal, and we want to grab the channel's identification as well. So here we're going to, like always, right click and copy our ID. And I know I'm going a little fast, so I'll come in here and walk you through what we're doing. So now we have our channel ID and our message ID. Now we can actually continue what we're supposed to be doing here. So this is just for us. So we're going to do console.log cached message found. Cool. And then now we can come here, and we want to create a catch. So if there's any errors, we want to be able to allow the bot to receive that. So we're going to do fetch that and open up the brackets as always. For some reason, again, I don't know why it's not throwing out 2 for us. Again, does it not like that? Why does it keep wanting an extra one? Anyway, so we'll have our catch message right here, and we'll do console.error, and the error we want to say is error finding cached message. Hold on, somebody's messaging me. Okay, sorry, someone sent me a message on Discord, and I wanted to make sure they weren't trying to get a hold of me. Actually, just for a sec, I'm gonna leave that for now. And then now we want to do console.error E, because that is our error right there. So now we're done with all of that. Perfect, we can close that out, and I see why it wasn't liking it there. You don't need to add an extra bracket. So now when we launch our bot, what we did is we created our channel ID and we created our message ID variables, and we said if the client is on, we want to be able to run and grab the client's or the channel's cached message, which will be, I literally just opened up the wrong thing, will be this message right here and then this channel. So if that all works, it'll send the console saying that we found the message, and if it doesn't, it'll say no message found. So let's go ahead and give that a test real quick. So we're going to open up our command prompt, cmd, go ahead and close that out, and we're going to do node period. If it works and it didn't like that, message ID is not defined. Ah, yes. Again, like always, I always keep messing that up. We want to make sure that we're spell checking ourselves. So node period, and it says catch message found after the bot is online. Perfect. So we know that it found the message. Now what we want to do is we want to say, we want to allow the bot to add the roles. So we're going to say adding the roles. So we're going to do client.on, since it's running at all times, not just once. So if the client is on, we want to do, and this is already built into the discord.js function, so you don't need to add anything. We'll say message. Okay, well I don't like, we'll do message. Okay, well I'm going to just type it all, reaction, add. So if we have the message reaction add, we want to again add the reaction, the user, and the guild. And we won't be using guild again. This is just for our own purposes. And as always, we want to open up our brackets like such. And now we want to actually start writing in the code. So first what we want to do is we want to say let member join equal reaction dot message dot guild dot reaction, and what do we want to say? The user, because it is the user that is doing this themselves. We don't want it to be the guild, we don't want it to be bot, we just want to say that the reaction is the user, the member who joined is the reaction and the user. So now we can go if reaction dot emoji dot ID is equal to, then this is going to be the emoji ID, and the reaction dot message dot ID is equal to, and this is 3 equals, the message ID, which is cached up here, message ID. Then we want to be able to run all of our code and whatnot. But one thing we're going to want to check, do we actually have our own emojis that we can use? So we're going to come into our server settings and our emojis. The only emoji we have so far is our dev's eyes. So one role that I want to be able to grant is the Phasmophobia role. So we're going to go Phasmophobia, since a lot of people in the chat really enjoy Phasmophobia. So we're going to go Phasmophobia logo. We're going to go to images, and let's see if we can find a good one here. You know what? Okay, we'll do this instead. Phasmophobia emoji. Well, none of these are really good. So we're just going to go back, and we're actually just going to use this image right here because I think it's perfect. It's one of the ghosts within Phasmophobia, so we're going to save this image, and in pictures, I'm just going to create a new folder. Emoji images. Put this in here. Phasmophobia, and we're going to save that. And now we're going to upload our image. Come over here. Emoji images, Phas, and we're going to open that up, and it's going to add the Phasmophobia right there. So now what we want to do is we're going to come into our message, we're going to do /, and then we're just going to go to our emojis. We're just going to click it, and it's going to give us our emoji ID right there. Just copy and paste just the emoji, not the Phas, not any of the brackets, just the emoji. So we're going to copy that, delete it all, and come back into our script. And now what we want to do, so replace the emoji ID with the emoji we just copied. So now if we react with the emoji and the message is the cached message ID up here, then what we want to do is we want to give the player the role. So we're going to go member join dot fetch, and what we're wanting to fetch is, again, like up there, the user. Then member, and now we want to allow the bot, and now we want to allow the code to do stuff. So now we're going to say member dot roles dot add, and now what we want to do is we want to add them to the role that we create. So first what we want to do before any of this, and why are you not liking this? It is not liking the arrows. So let's try this. What do you not like, buddy? I'm trying to figure out what it doesn't like. So we open that. Let's just try this. Ah, yeah, okay, of course. Something super simple like that. So now we want to actually be able to call the role that we want to give. So in our server, once again, we're going to go to our server settings, into our roles, and we already have the Phasmophobia. So we're just going to copy the ID of the Phasmophobia role, come back into our Visual Studio, and we're going to say let Phas role equal, and then we're going to go member dot guild dot roles dot cache, if I can spell correctly, cache find, and in there we want to say role equals the role, or role is the role ID, which equals that ID right there. Instead of the double parentheses, you want to do the single parentheses. Close that off. And then so members.roles.add, we'll want to say phas role, save that, and then if we're good to go, we should be able to compile all of that. Says that the cached message is found. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and we're going to be able to track my roles. So in here, I'm going to go, we're going to edit the message for Phasmophobia. The emoji we want to use is the Phasmophobia role. We're just going to hit enter. And what you can see is up here, I'm going to take off my Phasmophobia role, just so we know I don't have it. It is gone. So now if I react to this with the Phasmophobia, we can come down here, and we can come up to my roles, and we can see, well, it didn't like some, so let's see what it didn't like. Guild.reaction. Line 28, so it didn't like line 28. So let's go figure out what happened. And again, I'm your sort of tester, and I'm the one who actually is the one to screw myself over. And I'm a big dumb. I tried to call the reaction twice when it is actually member. So once again, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to take off the emoji. Come over here, make sure we saved. Yes, we saved. And node period, cache message found. Once again, we can see I have no Phasmophobia role. If I hit the Phasmophobia emoji, we can come back up here and see I have the Phasmophobia role. So now what do we want to do if they take it off? So say they're like, okay, well, I had the Phasmophobia role for a while, I haven't been playing, I don't want it anymore. So what we can do is we can come into our bot and essentially just copy and paste this entire bit of code right here. So hold on, let that save. But now we want to say, instead of adding the roles, we want to say removing the roles. Sweet. So instead of message reaction add, we're going to say message reaction remove. And instead of message.roles.add, again, we want to say remove. So everything else remains the same. Nothing else really changed perhaps, but we have the message reaction add and the message reaction remove. Again, we're going to come into our console. We're going to say copy all that. And now if we come over here, I can take it. So as we see, I have the Phasmophobia role. If I want to take my emoji off, it takes the role away. So again, let's go watch that. I put the emoji roles. I have Phasmophobia. I hit that, and it is gone. Perfect. So let's just keep that there. And now what we want to do, so rules to follow. We have some rules here, and this is actually really great if you want to add some sort of verification method to your server. So say you want to limit your users to only have the welcome messages, rules to follow in general, but none of the rest of the stuff. They can come into we can add a way for them to basically do the same thing. We're going to essentially copy and paste all of this. But now what we want to do, we're going to come back up to the top again. I'm going to copy that. Channel rules ID, message rules ID, channel rules ID, because we want to make sure that our variable names are different, as we don't want to overlap. So all this can stay the same, but instead of this ID and this ID, we want to use this channel's ID. So we're going to put this into the channel rules ID, paste that, and instead of that other message ID, we want to use this message ID. So we're going to copy this ID, come back into Visual Studio, and paste that. Whoa, what the hell just happened there? Okay, interesting. Okay, so now we have our two IDs for the rules. Let's go ahead and copy all of this. Control C, Control V. We want to save. So now I'm just going to log into a Discord for a different user that I have. It's my side hustle user. So we'll let that load up. And as you can see, he is in the server as just a basic designer. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here. We're going to take him and we're going to give him, get rid of that role and give him the newbie role. So anytime someone joins, what we want to do, and we're going to do a little bit of adjusting here as well. So I didn't mean to minimize that. So we're going to come down to our welcome message, which we created a while back ago. And instead of giving them the designer's role, what we want to do is we now want to give them the newbie role. So we're going to go to server settings, roles, newbie. We're going to copy that ID. And then we're going to paste that ID into there. So now they're going to have the newbie role. So we come up to our roles. We're going to say adding the roles. So now we want to create another role. So let newbie role equal the member dot guild dot roles dot cache. If I can spell correctly, cache find role equal, or role is the role dot ID, which will again equal that newbie role that we created down here. So if you can see this, I'm clicking that, is the same as this role here. So we will also want to change Faz role to designer role. Let's give that some space so it's a little easier to read. So now instead of just adding a role, we also want to remove a role. So we're going to go member dot roles dot, like the other one, remove. You want to say newbie role. Cool. And again, we want to change this to designer role as such. So I'm just going to copy and paste all of this. And we're just going to paste all of this into here, like such. So now the exact same thing that we did up here, remove the newbie role and gave them the designer role. We want to switch it. So instead of removing the newbie role, if they remove that reaction to the rules, they will now have the designer role removed. And instead of the designer role added, they will have the newbie role. And I just realized I spelled newbie wrong. So if we save that and compile it and go ahead and launch that, it says 2 cache messages found, so that because we're tracking 2 cache messages instead of just 1 now. And we come over into our user over here. So as you can see inside of our Lord, I can't think, our server with our user here for newbie, they have a very limited, and I'll have to update all this, they have a very limited usage of this server. So I want to go to rules to follow, say this user hits that, and it's not liking something, it looks like, because it's not really doing anything. Oh, the doy. We have to grab our message ID as well. So, like I said before, come over here, and we're going to go / logo, and for dev's eyes, we'll just copy and paste this ID right here, delete all of that, and then instead of okay. Alright, sorry. I saw an issue I had. So instead of this ID for that other emoji, we're going to use this ID for the logo emoji. And we're going to save. Once again, Control C, node dot. And now we can come over here and we have the newbie role, since we're a newbie. If we hit the rules right here, we'll hit that. Again, it didn't like it. Why did you not like it? What is it not liking here? Do I have the proper message? Let me see if I have the proper message. Copy ID, message rules ID, V. Again, always make sure you are proofreading. This should be rules ID. This should be rules ID. And I think with that we are good to go. So we're just gonna go hit Control C, node period. 2 cache messages found. We're gonna come over here again, newbie role. Hit that, and now he has the, for some reason, he has the Phasmophobia role instead of the other role. So let's see, where did we screw this up? I see. So he still has, this is still the Phasmophobia role. So we're gonna come over here. But you can see, as I did that, he was given the Phasmophobia role, we take it away, and he was given the newbie role. So this is just going to take a little bit of adjustment. Come up here, server settings, roles, designer, copy ID, and then this will go, and I opened up Unreal by mistake. So we can save that. As always, Control C, node period. Close that out. I don't want to really do anything with that. So now if this works, from newbie, we will now be given the designer role. And once again, you hit that, take it away. And this basically just limits the users, if you really want to create that level of verification, to all these different text channels. You don't want someone new coming in and basically griefing your server. This will limit them to only be able to allow them to basically say, okay, I reacted to the rules, I understand all this, and it's also for your purposes. If someone breaks these rules and you ban them and they or kick them and they question why, you will say, well, you reacted to the rules, thereby saying you agreed to them. So in a sense, it's a save your own ass method. So now what we can do is you can kind of come over here and limit the users to what they want to see. So we want the welcome messages. So permissions, newbies, they'll be able to read and but not send anything. Rules to follow, as you saw. Get your roles, permissions, they'll be able to. I think they won't have that. So they will have get your roles. So we'll just come over here. We'll say get your roles. You can't get your roles until you agree to the terms and conditions of the server. So no reading messages. Our story, permissions. Okay, newbie still. Polls. Let's just say we want to get rid of that as well. Permissions is not very used often, but newbie, nothing for there. And we still let's give them general. They're allowed to chat in general. So we'll just say remove this permission. Actually, you know what? Rather than that, they'll be able to chat in general, but they will not be able to see the message history. So they'll only be able to see what they see at that exact moment. Anything else? Clips from Twitch, share your content. Let's not allow them to do any of that. So clips from Twitch, permissions, newbie, read messages, no. Share your content, permissions, newbie, no. Music, no. They won't be able to do that. Phasmophobia, again, it's just we're going in and essentially just limiting them, saying so you have a whole server to your disposal, but please react to the necessary areas to get the rest of the server, essentially. So just keep going through here, and this might take a few minutes. Okay, newbie doesn't have anything there. Unity tutorial, newbie's already there. Let's just see. So general and then helpful streamer links. I'll say they're allowed to use those because I don't think anybody has permissions even. Yeah, they can have it. That's fine. But anyway, so now as you can see in our new tutorial server, permissions, newbie, read messages, no, and then tutorial help, permissions, newbie, view channel, no. So now we have everything. I'm obviously the server admin, so I will have everything, but for over here, the only thing that they will have is just the basic text channels, the basics, and the tutorials, helpful streamer links if they want it. General, they'll have access to general, but if I click out, or if I go up, well, for some reason it's showing that they have access to it. I'm pretty sure I limited to not being able to see the message history, read message history. Alright, well, if that's the case, we'll just say that back to normal. Oh, there we go. So they can't send messages and they can't see the message history. So we're going to come over here. They'll see that, oh, I can't send messages. If they click out and they come back in. Interesting. Okay, well, maybe because that's all that loaded for them before I did that, but you don't have permission to read message history and you cannot send messages. They can see what people are saying, but they'll probably be like, okay, so what do I need to do? Rules to follow. Okay, let me react real quick, and now they have access to everything that the normal designer user has. They take it away. They're like, oh, okay, well, maybe if I really want to be a part of the server in this community, I need to abide by the rules. So anyway, that's that. So again, let's go through what we did real quick. We went up here and we said, let your rules be this, the IDs, grabbed a channel and the message ID, and we grabbed the cached message in the channel, add the reaction to the rules. We gave them the designer rule and took away the newbie rule, which is granted to them the moment they join. And if they take it away, they will remove the designer role and give them back the newbie role, basically saying if you want to be a part of this community, you must abide by these rules. For the normal basic roles, so like Phasmophobia, say you play Fortnite, you want to add Fortnite in there, Among Us, whatever sort of role that you want to give. So they have the, again, message ID of the cached message and the channel that the message populates. You will have the adding the role, so if they react to that message, they will be given that said role, and if they take the role away or the reaction away, they will no longer have that role. Say they don't want to use it anymore, blah blah blah. And that is that. So there's really nothing more to add. If you really wanted to, you could do a comma in here, and then you could do message as well, or you could put these in parentheses. So like, say you want to be like, hey message, you were given this role to them personally. I don't personally like that because I don't like spamming my users and my members. So I just keep it to what it is right here. And finally, we can do, so we made sure everything works properly. Let's just go through this one more time. Cached message found. Come over here. We don't have any of the access to anything, but we can read who joined. We can read the rules. We can read general, but we won't have access to anything. So like if I scroll up, it'll only be up until a certain point. You can't read the history, and then they'll have access to some streaming links. If they want to drop some as well, that's fine. But we're gonna come over to our rules. We're gonna have, hey, now we can have access to everything. So they react to the rules, and now they're like, oh, hey, there's a role. There's like a role I can get for playing games if I want to be added towards it. They react to this, and now I come over here, roles. I now have designers and Phasmophobia. Once again, if I took that away, and took that away, I come over here, and the only role I have is newbie. Anyway, that is that. You can gear your rules and your other messages to how you like it. You can do your own rules here. and you can say whatever you like. And if you really wanted to, like I said, you can add a way for your members to receive a message. But on that note, I think I'm going to wrap this video up. As always, if you have any questions and I wasn't clear enough, please join the server. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. If you don't want to join the server and you still have questions, please leave a comment down below. I read every one of your guys' messages. When I can get to them, I read them. If you like this video, please hit that subscribe button and that like. It really helps us, the community. As you can see over here in my browser, if I hit the new tab, I'm starting to set up my streaming equipment. As you saw at the beginning of this video, I turned on my light, so that's one thing I knocked off, and I actually now have a camera which I can use. But yeah, so if you really enjoyed this video, please hit that like and hit that subscribe notification with the bell notifications as well, so you'll be notified of any new upcoming content. And I'll get rid of that if it's too spooky for you. Also, come join our Discord. You'll get alerts for when I'm going live and when we're doing our podcast on Saturdays. We would love to have you there. Anyway, on that note, it has been an ultimate pleasure, and I will see you guys on the next one.